Alright, tinfoil hat time. I don't know how long this is going to turn out or how many images and videos I'm going to use, so you might want to prepare to just be looking at a lot of my spinning logo. Before I get into this, I want to give you all a heads up. I'm going to be doing something slightly special for Christmas, and in that video, I plan to give a shout out to any of my viewers who want me to. All you need to do to get a shout out from me on the Christmas video is ask. No one will be denied. I can't promise that people will actually listen, but if there's even a chance that for Christmas I can give back to you all who made this channel something special, I will try. Anyways, I thought of a few no-stakes conspiracies about recent Transformers lines and I want to share them with you. So, starting off, let's talk about the Siege vs. 2-pack. What was it, and what do I think happened? In 2018, there was a fan poll for War for Cybertron Siege where the Transformers community could vote on which characters were going to get new toys in Siege. This was themed as a versus scenario where there was 3 possible options of 2 figures each. Wheeljack vs. Spinister, Trax vs. Needlenose, and Mirage vs. Impactor. The ultimate result was that Mirage vs. Impactor won, and we received a 3-pack of figures dedicated to the pairing that was supposed to be a 2-pack. So, where's the conspiracy? I think Hasbro didn't for a second believe that Mirage vs. Impactor was going to win the contest. No, instead, I'm pretty sure Hasbro was positive that Wheeljack vs. Spinister was going to be the winner. This is basically going to be a bunch of conjecture and hearsay, but I think I've come up with a pretty compelling argument for it. Now, why do I think this? For starters, we never got a Wheeljack in Siege. Wheeljack, the first character ever shown in a Transformers show. Wheeljack, the first Cybertronian ever to go into alt mode. Wheeljack, one of the few characters with an official space alt mode. Wheeljack, one of the most important legacy characters in the whole franchise, didn't get a figure in Siege. That's weird. What's more is that the figure he should have been was obvious. I mean, I have it right here. Me and a customizer came up with identical ideas for what this figure should have been completely independently from one another. Now, I've tried to confirm this, but I can't say this next bit with certainty, as I've not seen any proof in my admittedly light searching. But I have been told by 3 separate people that there was a Wheeljack who was a retool of Ironhide being worked on for Siege. If one person told me that, I'd file it away under something they may have thought of themselves. 2 people, I might assume that they got it from one another. But 3 people saying that makes me give this a little credence. Another much simpler issue is that Impactor is not a Decepticon. Next, let's look at what we got in the finger quotes 2-pack, which they had to reclassify as a battle pack for all that means. We got a better painted Impactor with a much cooler IDW-inspired head, a translucent blue recolor of Mirage, and a really ugly 3rd figure that no one gives a crap about, who somehow manages to make Cog look like an aesthetically pleasing design. So, my first question is, why does it feel like they ran out of ideas after Impactor? You got an alternative version of Mirage that no one wants, and some other loser that only the most devoted of deep-cut Transformers fans will appreciate clogging up the box. This screams to me that they didn't know what to fill out the case with because they didn't think it would win. Look at both regular retail versions of Impactor and Spinister. Both of them have heads based on the Marvel comic, which are not the heads anyone wants for them. If you want these figures because you know who the characters are, you want them with the much cooler IDW heads. So, I think the one good idea that they transferred from one project to the other is that the retail version was going to have the Marvel comic head, and that the 2-pack version was going to get the IDW head. Next, there's the fact that Mirage's normal figure took so long to come out. Despite the fact that he was slated for Wave 4 after its announcement, he was the last figure to come out in the entire line. Why would that be the case? Well, it's always been complained that Siege Mirage's alt mode is clearly just an Earth Formula 1 racer. If you know where I'm going with this, then you know. The rest of you are going to have to wait, though. Now, let's look at the Siege show, which has a few interesting signs that something might have gone awry with the story. You know, other than everything else that clearly went wrong with it. For instance, Wheeljack begins the show like he's going to be an important character, but then after the first episode, he's shunted to the background of the show where he's just left working on the Ark when his talents should have been invaluable to getting the space bridge running. It would also make more sense since he's the one who has a history of working with Ratchet and is known for being his most consistent collaborator. Meanwhile, Mirage just shows up in the middle of an episode using Hound's hologram powers, acting nothing like himself, and he becomes a main character at that point. What all this screams to me is that the original plan was to have Wheeljack be the winner. When that didn't happen, they had to take half of Wheeljack's role and foist it onto Mirage. They then stuck him with Hound's powers because with the new added character, the story didn't have space for Hound anymore, whose powers were plot integral, but the character wasn't. And then Spinister was an easy flat substitution for Impactor. So what does this all mean? I think what was originally intended to happen was to have Wheeljack versus Spinister win. The versus 2-pack would have literally been a 2-pack, as it would have been an IDW head Spinister and an Ironhide retooled into Wheeljack. That being a much larger figure, not just a stupid translucent version of an existing one, and it being a figure you couldn't get any other way would have made the box set justified without the 3rd wheel dickhead Aragon. And the story of the show would have just not introduced Mirage. That's also why he had such a non-personality in the show. He was a new character previously unplanned, crowbarred into someone else's role because Mirage wasn't intended to be a Siege figure. Mirage was meant for Earthrise. That's why his vehicle mode is just a regular Earth race car with the barest cyber stylization imaginable. He was just going to be a perfectly normal Earth race car, but when he won, he was forced to be released a line early. That's why he took so long to come out. He wasn't supposed to be finished for another year, and he had to be reworked to have any cyber stylization at all. They had to rush to finish him, and it still took a long time, since they needed to do something with the figure to justify it being in the special expensive box, and Mirage doesn't really have any alternate appearances. They just tried to represent his invisibility with crappy clear plastic, and since they knew that wasn't good enough for the box set, they slapped a third figure in no one was asking for to try and round out the value. So, not only did Impactor screw us out of the Space Wheeljack, but he also screwed us out of an Earth Mirage, an IDW Spinister, and he made the Siege show worse. I would end this here and save this next thing for its own video, but I don't think this next conspiracy has enough substance to fill out its own entire video, so I might as well just include it here. Even if you think I'm crazy for the last one, I think you'll probably agree with this one, because it's super simple. There weren't supposed to be vehicles in Kingdom. Or more specifically, they took the second half of Earthrise and pushed it into Kingdom. Siege had 5 waves, Power of the Primes 4, Titan's Return had 5, and Combiner Wars had 6. Earthrise has 3. I think what happened here is pretty simple. Earthrise was envisioned and designed to have 5 waves. Then Hasbro got some kind of cold feet with Kingdom. G1ers would not be happy with a year-long line that wasn't pandering to them in any way, and the Truck Not Monkey crowd would not pick up anything from the Beast era no matter what. So, rather than bite that bullet, they cut the last 2 waves of Earthrise and shoved them into Kingdom. So that way, the sections of the fanbase that would reject the Beastformers no matter what would have something to buy during the Kingdom line. Like I said, that one's pretty simple. So those were the 2 no-stakes conspiracy theories I came up with recently, and while I'm sure I could go into a little more detail, or I might not have explained them clearly enough, I think that's most of what I had to say. It is enough of what I had to say, and now, I'm just doing it. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you feel so inclined, please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.